Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to another episode of the Community Live Stream, the web series for ServiceNow administrators and developers, where we go through random stuff in the community to not only answer questions, well, answer the questions that I can, but provide the insights to those answers and give you information that you can use every day in your daily job. If you're new to Community Live Stream, welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. If you are watching this later, it is available on YouTube and Twitch. I'll get to that in just a moment. If you are returning, thank you for coming back. I appreciate it very much. You know what to expect. It's anything and everything. This is non-scripted. I am going to go through the community and pick topics that I can help with. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I am a senior TPMM at ServiceNow. That means I've been here for about 10 years. Well, the title doesn't mean that, but I have been here for about 10 years. I've been at ServiceNow for 8, just past my anniversary, and also was a customer for a couple of years before that. So about 10 years of platform experience, and boy, have things changed for much for the better, and more things coming. And I'll get to that probably in August when we cover London topics on the other series that I do called Tech Now. I'll get to that in just a moment. This is June 21st. I think that makes it the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, shortest in the Southern. Sorry, all you penguins in Antarctic. This is the dark day. Eventually we'll get some sunshine, but good for you. The questions that I choose out of the community are going to be around the platform, custom applications, and integrations. That's where my specialty lies. I'm going to be skipping over some questions. I will try to add help to wherever I can. May not be an exact answer, but I will provide that help. And I encourage you to do the same thing. I am going to shrink down here into the small side and let you know that this is available on YouTube. I don't know where you're watching this or when you're watching it, but if you would like, go ahead and subscribe to that channel that you see there in the URL, and you will get notified. I'm just going to double check my notifications. Oops, my phone's not around. That's okay. Check your notifications. You'll get notified that the show is on and other content gets presented. There is a lot more content to this channel than just the community live stream that I do, and I encourage you, if you find something in this next hour or so that we go through that's useful, click the help button. I mean the like button, not the help button. Click the like button. You can also drop me a comment in the chat. I love finding out where people are, where they're from. Give them a shout out. What's the weather? We can interact on these discussions. I often get stuck or miss a link, or I don't know everything. I never have claimed to know everything. And if you've got something to contribute, that's what the community is all about. I don't know where else this kind of insanity happens. We also do this on Twitch if you want to watch there. Some people prefer to do that. We've got some viewers today. And as often happens, the allergies kick in. Funny, we just had the carpets cleaned yesterday. Don't know where this is coming from. Could be the summer, but I apologize if I sneeze, or like you just saw there, an almost sneeze, which are almost as bad, sometimes worse. If you do have a question, where was I? I was on the community. Yes, if you do have a question about ServiceNow, please go post it in the community. You will get lots and lots of good subject matter experts that can look at it and hopefully provide you with an answer or a direction to the solution that you seek. I encourage you to do that at community.servicenow.com. Lots of good information. There are many sub-forums in there, so please be sure that you get the right sub-forum when you post your question, that if your question is related to incident or change management, you put that in the ITSM forum, and you will get ITSM people that see that and know that and can answer that. If you put it in the developer forum, less of a chance of the right people getting there. And if you have multiple questions, please post multiple posts. It will be easier to target those, unless they're kind of related. Okay, if you've got a question on reporting and one on scripting, make them two different questions. They're probably going to be that way. Also want to encourage you to go over to developer.servicenow.com if you haven't done so already. Lots and lots of good information where I happen to have a tab right behind me. You can get a free personal developer instance. If you want to run Kingston and your organization hasn't upgraded yet, You can do that here. You can test it out. You can see what's new. You can read the release notes. You can turn on plugins that would normally cost money, like orchestration or performance analytics, and get some of those capabilities, test them out, do a proof of concept, try skills, go through the learning paths, try some of the things that we've done here or on some of the other videos. You've got complete control over that instance. And if you screw it up, wipe it out, start over, or throw it back in the pool and claim another. It's as easy as that. You say, well, that was fun on Kingston. Let's try it on Jakarta. Throw away your instance, go get a Jakarta instance. Easy as that. We've got a technical library full of scripting APIs and other great information. If you want to know more about Glide Aggregate and what options are available to that class, you've got it. It's all right here on developer.servicenow.com, along with the learning paths that are also totally free. I've known people that have started their career just on this site. They've gone in knowing nothing. They've gone through some of the free learning paths, and they've gotten a job on ServiceNow. I'm not saying that's the solution for everybody, but it might be for you. We've also got in-person meetups. We have one tonight here in Phoenix. I'll get to that in just a moment. And, of course, the developer community. Let's try the right keyboard there, Charles. There we go. Keyboard says there's a meetup in Phoenix tonight, and that is where I will be. If you are in the Phoenix area, maybe we'll see you there. If not, well, look for one in your area. And if there isn't one, and you think you've got what it takes to start one, which frankly isn't much, let's put the developer thing away. We're done with that. It's blocking my URL. You can go to meetup.com and find information there to say, hey, I want to start a meetup in Philadelphia, or let's see, there's one in Seattle. Maybe you need one in Boise. Maybe you need one in Albuquerque. Who knows? There's it's not just U.S., it's worldwide. I believe we've got one in Tokyo. We've got several in India. Maybe we need one in Singapore. Maybe it's time to, if one doesn't exist. I don't think one does, but you can find out at that URL at the bottom and get together with like-minded developers, discuss what you're working on, what's new in the features, what you want to talk about. Tonight in Phoenix, I think I mentioned this earlier this week or late last week, we're going to be talking about some things that Mike Stockman, our organizer, has learned from Knowledge. We're also going to be doing a live integration. I'm going to try and import some things off a spreadsheet that I have never imported before. And we've got some design discussions. Should I create a new table or use an existing table? Should this be a many-to-many relationship or just a separate related list with a single reference? It can go anywhere. I don't know what solution I'm going to end up with tonight, but I'm looking forward to seeing what other people think about it and having that back and forth discussion, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow in a very safe environment for developers. Not like a user group, not like a SNUG, ServiceNow user group, if you're not familiar with that term. That would be more for showing product capabilities. Hey, if you haven't seen performance analytics before, let me show you all about that. We don't do performance analytics, unless, of course, you want to get into something really deep like formula indicators. Maybe some people want to see that at the developer meetup, but that would be up to the group to decide what they want to cover and where they want to go with this. There's no sales, there's no recruiting. Very, very warm, friendly nerd environment, if you're like me. All right, let's go back to, we did the meetups, we did the events. Oh, one more reminder that July 10th, we are doing another Tech Now session. This time it will be on the script debugger. And as I hinted yesterday, we've got a lineup in the hosting change. So I will be there, and you get to guess if Dave or Craig will still be around, and even harder to guess who the new person might be. So look forward to seeing you there. If nothing else, you can watch and find out who this new voice is and see their face on their bio slide. We are always looking to make these entertaining as well as educational. Tech Now is the web series for ServiceNow developers and admins about various aspects of the Now platform. Script Debugger is one of them. It's been out for over a year, but I've really only started recently using it in droves in the last couple of months. It really, really has improved. It's one of those things that if you're an old timer like me, you get used to doing things the way you do them and they just work and you keep going until somebody shows you a more efficient way. Or you force yourself to go say, you know what, I got to learn this. I want to make it part of my developer system. I've used debuggers in the past. I know their value. It's just my brain took a while to say, stop putting in GS info statements that are just there for debug purposes. If they're going into the log in a background script, that's one thing. But okay, I'm getting deep into this. I'll cover more in a couple of weeks when I see you on Tech Now. Use that link at the bottom, the bit.ly link, TN54Reg, to do your registration. It's totally free. You don't need to do anything. You'll get a reminder. You piece of cake. It's a wonderful time. Look forward to seeing it. All right, that takes care of the preliminaries. Good morning to everybody. Wow, the chat room is going bonkers while I was doing that intro. Flip over the screen. Good morning, Raul. Good morning, Kevin. Carolyn, good to see you again. ServiceNow fan is back. Hope things are well in Chicago. Stu from Sweden. Day before Midsummer Eve. Was hoping to be home a few hours ago. I bet he's got lots of daylight up there in Stockholm. What about a meetup in Chicago? Good question. Chicago and New York are officially on the map, but we need someone to lead those. So very good question. If you want to see about organizing that, really the hardest part is find a venue. Once you found a venue, the topics kind of drive themselves. You've got a ready-made audience. You don't have to build this group. Chicago already has a group that you can, if you want, send me an email, chuck.tomasi@servicenow.com. And my YouTube video froze a long time ago while I was talking about the developer portal. So pardon me while I do a quick refresh. Hopefully I don't lose the chat. I shouldn't. It's time sensitive. There we go. Much better. Kevin started one in Orlando. Yep. Todd is also got one. I believe he runs the Fort Lauderdale one. Kevin, I'm going to leave you as the ambassador of all things meetups in this chat. You guys seem to have a good conversation going on. Well, I go and dig into any new or unreplied messages in here. Good discussion about meetups right away, right off the bat. Limit query on certain condition. Let's see what's happening here. Sounds like something that I might be able to help with. Below is my simplified query. Doing a glide record on ALM asset. Glide record is our API for getting records in and out of the database. Assign to.active is not equal to true. I think I see the problem right away. They're not using a Boolean true, they're using a string true. The challenge I face is that on asset table, multiple records exist where the condition matches, but assigned to is the same person, and it generates multiple events for the same person because multiple assets assigned to this person. Is there a way to generate only one event for that person and then skip other iterations were assigned to? Yes, you can do that. And I'm going to make a quick fix to this script as well. I would keep track of who you saw in the array. Actually, to make it even better, the database should do this. Could we do this as a group by? The first thing I note is that you've got an error with your add query. It should be, he was using GR, right? I don't do this anymore, but still. GR add query. It's not ALM assigned to. It's assigned to.active. Assigned to. You can dot walk on these queries. It's very powerful. Is not equal to true. You were using a string instead of a Boolean. Now, for the test, this is where I love to use my personal developer instance. I don't even know if I have ALM installed. I can't type one thing and say another. Is it there? It is. Okay, so let's go to, it's gotten assigned to, and if I do a group by here, it should group those together. Waiting. Okay, I've got 278 empties, but there are effectively 12, lots of assigned groups, but there's lots of them. Now, can I do the same thing in a script? Let's do this. Let's take his script, fix this part, and do a group by. gr.group by assigned to. I don't know. I'm just playing here. I don't want to trigger an event. Let's do gs.info gr.assign_to. We need the display value. Assign_to.get display value. I don't want sysids. Too hard to read. Okay. Run the script, and I get absolutely nothing. Okay, so let's take out his query just because I don't need it. And see if grouping by does what I want. There we are. Do we have 2 Mirandas? Let's do a quick data test. David Liu. We should have ordered these. Let's do a find in the browser of David Liu. 2 of 14. That is not what I wanted because there's still a whole bunch of unassigned in there. Is that not the name of the field? Maybe that's not a valid query. ALM asset.list. Let's see if that field is actually called assigned to or something else. It might be called owner. You can never trust a label. Right, kids? I'm waiting for something to happen. There we go. Assigned to is called assigned to. Interesting. Okay, time to go to the APIs. Somebody's probably typing the answer as I do this, but that's okay. Glide record. Glide record is our probably most popular page ever. And it tells me that it has a number of functions or methods that go along with this class. I am just waiting, and I'll take a drink. Add function. Let's scroll down here so we can scroll through them faster. Glide record. Does it or does it not have a group by? Get. It doesn't have a group by. Glide aggregate does. I wonder if I could swap that out and do a glide aggregate. Let me put this in my text editor. I'm getting a little bit beyond what I want to do in script background. Glide aggregate. And we could do, I'm going to call this GA instead. I know that usually leads to errors. And I always have to look at the glide aggregate page. It's not used as commonly, and I don't have it all memorized, but let's go up to glide query, glide element, glide aggregate. Let's take a look at that. Add aggregate, and they have some great examples in here for grouping by things. Let's do group by string name, which is going to be your field. And here they're grouping by category, so you get these aggregates out. So I'm going to put in an aggregate of count. Let's just find out what happens. Go back to my text editor, and I will add an aggregate. Add aggregate. I only typed this about 100 times yesterday for a demo. Hey, wow. This is where code completion comes in nice. Add aggregate count, and then pull out ga.next, and I don't know, see what happens. This is where personal developer instances are nice. Paste, run. Hey, look at that, it's even sorted. And how many David Lius do I have? One and only one. Okay, do I have anything where it's not active? Then what I would do is change this to a GA and give them that. Oops, they want their event back, don't they? Please, can I have an event? All right, good use of Only they want glide record. You're going to have to figure out what the glide record is. I also recommend using glide aggregate for performance reasons, and it has a group by method to deduplicate these things. You just need to figure out what glide record to pass as the second arg to gs.eventQueue. Let's give them a little code sample. All right, glide aggregate is very fun. It can get very powerful. Hey, we got one. Hooray. That's how it's done. Experiment, experiment, experiment. Wow, Steve. Steve's going to get himself in trouble in the chat. I'm not even... If you're watching this on YouTube, you can follow along. But I'm not going to repeat that one. Let's go to the unsolved. We got that one, which has a reply. We've got notification triggered, but mailed to parm1, not getting triggered. Let's see how they're triggering the notification. I have event contains sysids of users in parm1 and parm2. Sysid is correct. User does have mail. Notification gets triggered by event. Send to event creator. Why the hell is my notification not being triggered? You need user email instead of sysid in parm1 and parm2 to make sure parm1 and parm2 is checking the notification. I don't know about that one. I thought it takes sysids. No, you're right. It does take emails. Notifications. We go under system notification, email notification. This one you need to do the advanced view. And I take a new record. I'm going to make that a little bigger if I can without destroying the form layout. Close enough. And if I go to who will receive, it's not in there until I go to advanced view. Then I see a couple of new fields pop up. And one says, come on. Where'd it go? Should be there. I thought it was in here. Did I miss it somewhere? Did my form layout do something to me? I'm in advanced view. When to send, insert or upgrade. Oh, it's got to be event triggered. That turns on the other fields. Event parm2. The second event parameter contains a recipient either as a sysid group, sysid, or email. Okay. I beg to differ. I knew that was going to happen. Take a picture. All right. Not the case. You need to add the email instead of a sysid. Yeah, no, you don't. According to the make sure you go to advanced view on the notification form and check the appropriate checkboxes. Sysids are okay according to the field help. Let's see what they say about that. Maybe the documentation says something different or people's experience is different, but let's find out. Excuse me. File import CSVXLS from midserver. I think we asked this yesterday. If you post a question, make sure you only post it once. you can always bring it back to the top of the list with a comment or revise your content that you originally posted. But if you post it multiple times, then when I'm looking for a solution later and I say, hey, I'd like to do a file import from a mid server, I get multiple solutions and none of them are marked correct, and they may have different threads and different engagements, and one might be solved. I don't know. It gets really confusing at that point. Morning, Cooking Fever. Hope you are having a wonderful day. Copy catalog item variable to form variable. That's a doable thing. Per software request, multiple catalog item variables were created with the software information, software technical title, publisher, version, and edition. There's also 4 variables in a variable set for these items. It was scripted in a workflow to copy the fields that were inputted from each catalog item and puts their variable from the software team for the software team to see what item it is. What I'm trying to accomplish is some sort of onload script or business rule that will populate the catalog item variables into the variable on the variable set. Are they going the other way? So that the end user can see what version they are using. Current.variables.softwareTechTitle equals current.cat item. No. Don't mess with cat item. It's going to be no. Oh. You just added fields to the catalog item. The catalog item is a blueprint of what the request item will be. By putting fields on the catalog item, you are making them available to all catalog items. That includes non-software as well. You may have wanted to put them on SC-rec item, but that also makes those fields available. There. SC-rec item. Let's start this a little, introduce them to what that table is the table for requested items, things that need fulfilling, and what your fulfillers actually interact with. All types of items, whether they use them or not. Do you need 3 discrete fields? I didn't spell that right. That's one of those words that I never get right the first time. Or could you repurpose the description field, for example, to add text of what they need? Yeah, that's a Let's find out what the true requirement is. They were very descriptive. I do appreciate that, and even include a screenshot. Question: can we extract a single field through glide record instead of the whole record? I saw this question come up on the community, and I don't have an answer unless you're using like a REST API. You could make a custom REST API that says only give me back fields 1, 3, and 12. Or assign to short description and number. You can do that with a glide record. That's a good question. I don't know if it's in there. Let me get on the glide record page again. Fields. This is probably going to turn up, only 32 things. Add join query, auto assist fields, no, auto assist fields, no, auto assist fields, no. I'm just quickly looking through. Get fields, nope. That's, I always thought that function was misappropriately named get ed. which is an element descriptor. Get fields retrieves a Java array list of fields in the current record. That's not what we want. We want to limit the fields. There's the number of them. New record, order by, set force update, set value. Nope, don't see it wrapped around. What I was thinking is, and this is particular to the REST API. If I go into the REST API Explorer, I always forget I have a shortcut for that one. Leave that. There's a better question. Where are you looking to get these from? Where is this query being used? Is it in a client script? Is it in a workflow? Is it in a business rule? Is it in a REST call? How are we retrieving these? But if I say incident, for example, because it's easy to pick on, I pick on the incident field and I can say sysparm fields assigned to number, short description, and then I run my query and change nothing else, I will get in my response just number, short description, and assigned to. So if I had 500 records, I would get this same thing in an array, repeated over and over. So that is, I'm just still curious as to where those would be used. Let's go back to unreplied, see what's there. Half past the hour, thank you for joining. We are halfway through the show already, it's crazy. Calling an existing workflow from Flow Designer. Theoretically, if you made your own custom activity, can I call an existing workflow as part of Flow Designer in Kingston? I wouldn't mix these two technologies, really. Personally, I wouldn't mix these two capabilities purely from a maintenance standpoint. That being said, you could create a custom action that does a workflow call. And let's give them some docs to help out. I might even have that as a macro. That's not the one I wanted. I wanted this one. Workflow duration, no. Workflow, there it is. Workflow API. Highlight, Command K, one of my new favorite keystrokes. I like to hit the keys hard. Tell them who's boss. Kevin brings up the SN Dev Slack channel. Very good resource pool over there. Limit query on certain condition. We have a response to that. I'm already going into the email responses. I got, what, about 3 questions in? And you want an event based on inactive users with at least, now they're going with glide record query and doing a join query. Well, that's interesting. I guess that is a little simpler. Just say active false instead of active not equal true. Sometimes I miss the obvious stuff. And they are going to find the, you could run the query in the user table. Okay, interesting approach. Interesting approach. Mine went with Cloud Aggregate. But they're doing something different. They're not firing the events. They are replying inactive users. I think they wanted an event for each user who owned an asset or one or more assets. But why is sysid not working? Even documentation tells me that. I don't know. Did you try the preview notification button? It's a button, right? I don't want to mess people up and say the wrong thing. Notifications. Not system creator. It's down here. Notifications is one of those things that you type, and even when it's filtered, there's a lot of them. I'm going to bring one up just for the fun of it. That's already created. Yeah, let's preview notification. Did you try the preview notification button on the form? Okay. Is it possible to change a field type from decimal to integer? This came in just before the show started, and I put in a response. And the accepted answer was no, you cannot change the field. I said, yeah, well, you cannot change the field. The best option is create a new field of integer type. They wanted to go from decimal to integer. And I said, those are not compatible database types. If you're going from like string to HTML, that works. But if you're going from decimal to integer, there's a completely different data type down at the database level. And we're not going to let you harm your data. So the best approach is create an integer field, migrate the data from decimal to integer, and then deactivate the decimal field. I don't like deleting things on the system. There's no real benefit. You could still have it for legacy reasons in case your script didn't run, whatever the case may be. Keep it around. It's not going to harm anybody. If it's deactivated, it's not going to show up on any reports. It's not going to be selectable in a list. It's just basically not there, but it's still there for you to reference later. Thank you for both the replies. Fortunately, this is our dev instance, a newly created field on a newly created table, so no harm in just adding a different field and move on. I did a little investigation first to see if the script I'm trying to do would work with decimal field. It isn't working yet, but I can imagine why it would not. I'm trying to sum all of the values in child tasks into a field on the parent. I've done that. It's kind of fun. Found the script that appears to be using integers, so I found a need to use integers too. But maybe I poke around. Rochelle, if you like, share the script and we can take a look. One thing I found when doing summing like this is to follow two basic rules. One, get value is your friend. Two, use parse int. Here, never assume the data type and cast it to what you need. Example, bad code. Num equals gr dot number. Not number, number's already taken. Count. How about u underscore count? That'll make it more obvious. Num plus equals there. That's bad. Okay, good code. Here we'll say var num. You know what? Let's put this in the little scripty-doo thing. I know that's not the name, but I'm making up words. It's my show. JavaScript, paste, get rid of the blank line. No, we don't have to. Equals 0, semicolon, while something happens here. I wish this was more of a script box, but I understand why it can't be, because it's also handling XML and whatnot. And it would also interfere with accessibility. Let's do another one. Good code would look more like this. JavaScript, var num equals 0, while another true statement, true condition. Then you do var val equals new, gr.getValue of u count. Actually, let's do count val and num plus equals parse int count val 10. All right, two things to point out. I have been bitten by this so many times, it's not even funny. Make that a little bigger for you. I realized it was on smaller size. When you do a straight assignment like this, gr.ucount, ucount is a field. It is an object. It is a glide element object. And it contains all kinds of properties and functions like, hey, get display value. Great if you want the display value of something that's a choice list or a reference field. Very helpful to do that. But if you just do a straight assignment, you're kind of messing with, this is where JavaScript gets a little unpredictable because it's a loosely typed language. You can do statements like this and it won't come up and bark at you and say, hey, this is an object and you're trying to stuff that thing into a decimal or an integer. What's wrong with you? A lot of languages will do that. JavaScript does not. So you have to be a little more prescriptive and cautious. And get value first gets the value of that field. In this case, it would get a 5 or a 1 or a 0 or something. But I've also found that many times when you do get value, particularly on true false values, you don't get back a true or false. Sometimes you don't even get back a number. You get back a string. Like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. I got a string. What do I do with that? Because if you add a string to another string, you get two strings concatenated together. And if I said 10 plus 9, I will get 109 as my result. And we'll go, okay, it's a string. It's a string. I'm just going to keep adding more strings to it. And you get this sometimes really long string of all the numbers you tried to add together, which is just concatenation. Parse int turns it into an integer and says use base 10. You don't have to have the 10 on there. I like to put it on just to be explicit because you can also use different bases, 16, 8, whatever you want to use for your base code, your base counting system. Most of us humans use base 10 because we have 10 lovely digits on our hands. But that's my answer to that. I'm sure somebody else has come up with something encouraging in the meantime. And, well, here's a new one. Actually, it's a very old one. Open a ticket in Portuguese language. Wow, from 2 years ago. I knew that sounded familiar. I'm in Brazil. Somebody responded in Portuguese. I love it. It's a great thing. Let me refresh my inbox real quick because it looks like it still has 2 unreplied messages there. And of course, limit query on certain condition has come back up. Marked answer correct. He's got the glide record false. Apparently that was doing what he wants. Thanks for the answer. Join query was exactly what I was looking for. Cool. I don't use join query all that often. Let's see if I can figure this out. Sys user, they want to join to ALM asset. Okay, so they get all the users. Interesting. Interesting. I'm going to have to explore that more. I think it's got some possibilities of what you get. So let's, you know what? I'm going to take that script. GS log. Oh, someone's playing with legacy methods. Can I harass people for not using the new way of doing it? It also works in scoped applications. And I got nothing. Okay. So it says join. What is join query? Let's read up on this. When in doubt, read. Right? Glide record. Down here, we know that good old glide record is add join query. Now, we did see that it had a bunch of variations. 1 parameter, 2 parameter, 3 parameter. Adds a filter to return records based on a relationship in related table. Okay. Scoped equivalent is add join query. Add join query, table name, primary field. And third one is table, primary field, and join table field. So they're saying, I want to take the ALM asset, join it with sysid, assigned to. So the sysid of sys user. Is there an example in here? Oops, wrong tab, sorry. Maybe there's an example. Find problems that have incidents associated where the caller ID value matches that of the problem opened by field. Aha. So they're saying go query the problem field, find problems where the associated, that has incidents associated where the caller ID from incident, no, where the caller ID from problem matches the problem opened by field. Okay, so problem opened by, they seem a little out of order. I would have done it in a little different parameter order, but I can understand because there's what do they call that? I'm losing my memory now. Where you can use different versions of the same function with 1, 2, or 3 arguments. It's on the tip of my tongue. Polymorphism. That's it. Unless my memory's really shot, and that's not even the right word. Copying catalog item with the form variable is where I said, probably not the right table for you. And he says, if it's not achievable, is there a way to have something in the description field? Oops. This was written by Matrom. And if it's not achievable, is there a way to have something in the description to pull the data from the fields I have in the screenshot? So that way, whatever is there, it will put that description information on it. That's what I was suggesting. That's what I was suggesting. Create a business before insert business rule that has a condition to look for that catalog item only. If it's true, if that is true, run a script like this. So I can get that framework going. You know what? Let's put this in the script. Note, this is not tested. Put in my standard disclaimer. Now put the script in, and the script will look something like this. Again with the tab. That is so habit forming. Current.description equals current here. Name. I'm a single quote kind of guy most of the time. Current.variables.name plus version plus current.variables.version, and leave it like that. And because I went to the script widget, I have to make my thing smaller for you temporarily. What do you think? Are we done with the inbox for now? Because I have a couple of things that I would like to bring up that I didn't bring up. Let's see. Somebody was talking about user criteria. This came out in Fuji, I believe. User criteria originally came out on catalog and knowledge. And you can find them under service catalog and knowledge, even though you can apply them elsewhere now in the system. And what we used to have in, I'll show you, maintain items. Oops, maintain items. Wow, the fingers are just not cooperating today. Can I blame it on the shot I got from the doctor? I don't even know. Still got the Band-Aid. Sharing my medical history on air. It's a wonderful thing. Got a shot in the elbow. What we used to have, if I said, this is a standard laptop and I only want this standard laptop available to these types of people. What we had was a bunch of related lists. Configure relate. I'm not going to put them on my form, but I will describe them. We had available at location, available for company, available for department, available for group, available for user, and it got to be, oh, I didn't hit the mute button fast enough. I apologize. Then there's a counter one that says not available at location, not available company, group, da 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 da. And these were the limitations you had. And you put these on your item to say it's available for this group, but not for this location. It made for very difficult maintenance. And not only that, but if you had multiple items like this group of laptops, or this laptop, and you had multiple items to apply this same criteria to, it was a nightmare to manage. So what we've got now is simply two related lists, available for and not available for. And hopefully those are mutually exclusive. But what you do is you go and you find these groups of criteria under user criteria, And if you've done this before, congratulations. If not, this is a very nice feature, and I gotta think about this, where I can reuse this content. But these are simply definitions. Here's Ryan's criteria. I don't know why Ryan's criteria is in here, but he's got nothing defined. Okay, I could specify particular users who have access to this. Maybe I've got 5 users in the whole company that need access to this catalog item. It's very secret. You should not be ordering this thing unless you're one of these 5 users. I could put them in there. This is a list field, so I can easily dump in the users that way. I could do the same thing for groups, roles, and these are ANDed together. So if I say it's this role and this group, only that group with that role gets access to whatever I apply this to, if it's an available for. If I use this same user criteria in a not available for, it's an exclusion. So I can use this criteria 2 different ways. I can also apply it to service portal, widgets and pages, etc. Anywhere that available for and not available for are available. Now, there is an advanced section in which you can put a script. This condition goes and looks up sysids or user IDs. You can also extend this and say, hey, I put a region field onto sysuser. That's wonderful. You can put a choice list, for example, or a list field or whatever, and you can reference that region table and say only these regions have access to it, as long as there's something compatible to match that against. It says, is this user in this region? If so, I'm going to grant them access. Is this user in this region? If so, I'm not going to grant them access if they're in the not available for. So you can extend this. This is extensible by adding your fields from sysuser onto here. Just make sure that you recognize these are ANDed together, much like ACLs. If you want separate ones to be ORed, you have to make separate user criteria. So it's available for group A or group B, because if you put group A and group, well, I guess you could put that in group A and group B here, but anyway, you get the idea. If you want it location A or group A, then you need 2 different user criteria and put available for these. So that's what that was all about. Somebody was having an issue with that, and I thought, we haven't discussed user criteria. Very effective thing. Again, in knowledge, same kind of thing. You might have super secret information that's only available to the IT group or the security group. You can make that group very easy and say, I don't even know if I have a security group in demo, but I can call this security people and say group. Nah, there's not a security group. That would have been too easy, right? Maybe we'll call this the database administrators. There we go. Let's add database. Just change my demo a little bit. Database people, and they get database Atlanta, database San Diego. I don't know whether or not these are subgroups to the parent database group, so I'm going to add them explicitly. And there we are. We now have a group for database people. And then when I say, I've got knowledge base articles that only the DBAs should have access to, I can go into knowledge, the application, not the conference, go to all, and I'll pick one. Nutrition. It's one of my llama articles that I did a while back. So maybe only my database administrators need to know about nutrition. Let's add related lists available for. Where'd it go? I think it's on knowledge bases, not on all knowledge articles. So I would need to do a knowledge base. I forgot. Llamapedia is the knowledge base, and I don't know if it's down here by not. Can read, can contribute. This is where user criteria is added. When you say edit, it loads up the user criteria. Here's my database people, and only the database group can edit the Llamapedia articles in the Llamapedia database, or excuse me, knowledge base, all over the place. So you apply user criteria to a catalog item. I believe you can also apply to catalogs. Let's find out. Service, catalog, catalogs. Let's see, maintain catalogs, be a little easier. Let's go into technical catalog. and see if there's a related list for... No, you can't modify them that way. Interesting. I thought that would be kind of interesting. And I'm missing something. Attachment catalog items. Nope. Nope. Descendants. Nope. Anything with an arrow. If you never noticed this, anything with an arrow is a one-to-many relationship. It says there is a reference field on the product catalog item table that points to catalogs. Anything that is a single is a many-to-many relationship. So classic case of that is in incident. I could have, actually let's go to problem. Better case. Go to problem. One of those things that seems obvious at first, and maybe some people don't know it, so I thought I'd bring it up. I have, if you look down here, incidents has an edit button. That means I can have multiple incidents associated to multiple problems. Problem tasks, apparently I can do the same thing. Interesting. Problem analysis, if I add, let's do configure related lists. I think it's going to probably make a liar out of me. Affected CIs, no arrow, many-to-many table. However, as is approvers, if I do, we're not really familiar with appointments, but let's do case to problem. There is a reference field on case that points to problem. Here is cases. I don't have an edit button. But if I create a new case through this new button, I have a problem field somewhere on here. It might not even be on the form, which is interesting. But it's in the database somewhere, and I can make that relationship. That's a very powerful feature when you think about it, because simply by having a reference field means you have an automatic ability to make a relationship to that. It's in the database saying, I'm pointing to a record over there, and I can throw it on the form in a matter of seconds. I don't have to do anything else to make that relationship available. The many-to-many tables are interesting because really at the heart of it, they're just a table with two reference fields. Here's my favorite example. We'll go to user administration, groups, and groups have members. And in between there, boy, I wish I'd known this concept when I was writing my own ticketing system years and years ago. It would have made life so much easier. I have group members, and group members is a many-to-many table. In fact, if I click this eye icon, the only thing in there is a user reference and a group reference. Now, that's not all it takes to make a many-to-many table. You want to use a many-to-many definition, and I'll get into that another time, but we're running a little low here today. And the neat thing about this is it's in the group member table. Table name is sys_user_gr member. And I can see that right here by just right-clicking on a field and say show. It'll say the field name is user. It's a reference to sysuser. So I've got two pointers, one going to user and one going to group. That's basically what it is. That's all that it is. And when I look at this, because of the many-to-many definition, if I look at that same table on a related list on the group table, this is where the M2M definition comes in. It says, when you display this table, call it group members. If I were to look at that same table, it's the exact same table, here, label it as groups. It's the same table. Look, where was I? Hardware, database, software, I don't remember. But that's still Beth Anglin in a group. Same table. So it's pretty smart. If I create that many-to-many definition, which is sys_m2m.list, I said I wasn't going to get into this too deep today. I have from table is going to be, starts with sys user something. I don't remember. Sys user, it's not even in here. It might even be a default one that says, hey, I'm there by default. But that's the way these definitions go. If I say sys user to license details, over here are where the labels appear. All right, I got a little deep into many-to-manys, deeper than I wanted to. Importing data is like watching paint dry on a freshly painted wall. Or in our case, watching carpets dry. after the carpets get done. Let's make sure there's nothing left in the inbox. I suspect there's one. One. Yep. Okay. Quick thing about the tables. Go down to the reply to my script. This is where I got the original script and permission to use it. Business rule script account value unrelated list. I modified it. Demand task. There's the script to count the records she was having. Set group false. Current U capital implement cost. What table on the demand task? That's additional. Current.update. Don't do current.update. No. Both. I'm going to take a look at this one later. This has corrections written all over it. If you're in a business rule, please don't do current.update. If you're this appears to be updating. It's on the demand task, but they're doing a glide aggregate against demand task and updating current. Well, current is a demand task. You think you want to update the demand. So that's going to require some typing that I'll do in a bit. Busy day ahead, lots more content to generate for you. Thank you very much for joining. I am going to bid you a fond Thursday. If you are just getting started, have a great day. If you are finishing up your day, relax, take it easy, have a beer. And if you learn something, go and share it, and you will be a hero. Thank you very much. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow if everything works out. Bye now.